jump out of their seats.
First service.
Negative, and I'm going to catch you up a little bit and tell you why that's actually a significant test. So on Christmas Day, I was feeling a little bit run down, but I didn't really think much of it. I just thought it's the holiday season, you know, I was just feeling a little bit under the weather. That is until I lost my sense of smell, and obviously alarm bells started ringing then. So immediately I took one of these tests. Luckily I get these tests for work anyway, because I work with vulnerable people and I need to be tested regularly to make sure that I don't have the virus. That is when it came back as positive. So obviously I was worried at that point. I was worried about sort of family and people that I'd been in contact with. Immediately I went to the proper procedure, which is the PCR test, just to get it confirmed. So that's like the drive-through at the hospital, and that also confirmed that I had coronavirus. So this was obviously 9 days now since I had my first symptoms, so I've been self-isolating, haven't been able to train in that time at all, haven't really been able to do much really, haven't been able to go out, so it's not been great, just self-isolating. But I did this test now, as I'm meant to do them every couple of days, and yeah, it said that I'm now negative, so that's obviously a massive thing. I'm massively relieved. In terms of symptoms throughout the time that I had coronavirus, I think I was just lucky that I was fairly asymptomatic and I had very mild symptoms. I didn't really have any smell, well, I had no smell at all, so I couldn't smell anything. Had slight headaches throughout the day, and when I woke up, I just felt quite tired. I still generally feel quite tired as well, but in terms of like a cough and not really being able to breathe, I didn't have any of that, so it wasn't severe at all. So I got very lucky there. I do feel fit and healthy, so I do feel like I can go and train. So I am gonna actually go to Trojan today and just start where I left off. So I'm going into my third week of training. But the good thing about Matt's programming is that it does allow me to auto-regulate what weight I do with the sets. So if I'm feeling a little bit fatigued or don't feel like I can do it, I can just bring the weights down and do the bare minimum. And then we can just implement that each week and build up again. But yeah, I'm hoping that I can go in there and do the training as usual, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm a bit apprehensive about going. I feel like I shouldn't really, I should just take a couple of extra days to recover, but I feel generally good to go. So yeah, I'm going to go and do some safety squats today. In fact, if I get this today, it's actually a personal best. So my best ever safety squat bar single was 187 kilos, and I'm potentially, if I manage to do all of the top sets, I'm going to get up to 187.5 for a double. So it'll be interesting to see. Has the coronavirus kicked my ass in terms of fatigue? I don't know, but I want to go and find out. pause double on the SSB, which is an overall PB with a pause, so absolutely buzzing with that. Must admit, I did feel a little bit drained during that, a bit tired, a bit lethargic, but you know, going for a PB, so I'm expected to be a little bit tired. But moving on to bench now, just working up to 120 for a single, and then that's pretty much it for today. So there we go, that's the first training session post-COVID technically, and it went pretty well. Obviously I managed to get the new personal best on my SSB, which I'm happy with, although I wasn't really happy with how long I paused them for. I said they were pause squats and they were meant to be pause squats, but they were kind of rushed. But overall I was happy with the strength and how that felt. I didn't have any adverse effects from COVID in terms of my strength. The big thing to really look out for, I've been told, is fatigue, especially for people that have had mild symptoms of COVID. That fatigue could be a big thing, and it doesn't always show itself or manifest itself straight away. It could be sort of a little bit down the line where you start feeling fatigue, so that's just something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. But in terms of like training today, it was absolutely fine, and actually I think the rest has done me a little bit of good. Obviously I had issues sort of in my pec and in my hips. Having a little bit of rest has really helped that, and I had no pain while squatting and no pain while benching. So from a strength point of view, the rest has done me good, but in terms of fatigue and just how COVID has affected me, I don't know yet. I'm going to have to just wait and see in weeks to come to see if I do get that long COVID or the long COVID symptoms in terms of fatigue. But early signs are pretty good. I'm glad I was able to get into the gym. It was important to me to get back into the gym pretty quickly. I didn't want to sort of potter around and put it off, because motivation wise that just wouldn't have been good for me. So I wanted to get straight into the gym and sort of prove to myself that I could go and train. So I'm really happy with how the session went. Worked up to the heaviest bench I've done for a while in 120 kilos, and that's progressing really well. So overall, really happy. I think the other thing I need to kind of look out for is, I honestly don't know enough about the virus, but obviously with there being different strains of it at the moment, there is a potential that even though I've had the virus, that I could catch it again, or a different strain of it. So I do need to be wary of that, and it doesn't mean I can just be blasé, go out and do what I want. I still need to be really cautious when I'm going out in public, in the gyms and that sort of thing. So obviously making sure that I'm sanitising everything, wearing a mask where possible, because yeah, just because I've had it, I think there's evidence to show that people can get it more than once. So I think it's still important to be vigilant when I'm out and about. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. From a sort of psychological point of view, I suppose, it did knock me a little bit, if I'm being really honest. And I wasn't really going to talk about the sort of psychological impacts of COVID in this. It was going to be more about the physical side of things and how it has affected me physically, and clearly not that much. But from a psychological point of view, the sort of the day that I found out was quite tough, and it was almost like a sense of guilt and embarrassment, when I know they shouldn't be emotions that you feel, but for whatever reason I didn't really want to tell anyone. I didn't really tell anybody apart from close friends and people that I'd been in contact with, because I just felt a little bit embarrassed, and I don't know why. It's not my fault. It's not as if I went out of my way to try and catch a virus, but I still felt a little bit embarrassed by it and guilty for having it, and then potentially putting other people at risk. So yeah, that's something I had to kind of come to terms with. Bit weird, right, from a psychological point of view as well. Just being in isolation was not good for me as well. Don't like that at all. Like, it's amazing how now that I've actually got this negative now that I've had this negative test, how much of a release that has been off my shoulders. Because the last few days I've been pretty miserable, to be honest with you. Just sort of always been on my mind. Even though I know I'm not really ill and it hasn't affected me physically, it wasn't nice having to sort of stay in and knowing that I had to be cast away from society, I suppose. So I really do understand how it can have massive psychological impacts on people. And I think the last thing to say then really is, if you know anyone that's has coronavirus, or are just having to self-isolate, maybe just check in on those people just to make sure they're doing okay, because they might not reach out to you to say that they're struggling. So maybe just checking in and just saying, how are you doing? I know you're self-isolating, I know you're not able to see people at the moment, are you doing okay? Is there anything that I can do for you? Because that was important to me, just having family sort of check in just to make sure I was doing okay. I mean, like I say, overall I was doing okay, I was doing fine, and I'm not going to turn it into like a massive drama. I wasn't, hitting at any sort of crisis point, but I was definitely aware that I was not in a sort of good headspace during that time, and it was good to have people just get in touch and just make sure that I'm doing okay. So yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me, my messages are always open. If anyone wants to get in contact with me and just discuss how they're feeling about anything really, then yeah, I'm always here. But yeah, just want to sort of end on that really. Overall, I'm fine. It wasn't too much of an issue for me, but I realise it can be an issue for other people. So it's important to stay vigilant anyway. Make sure that you're doing all the precautions that you're meant to be doing. Because yeah, just because I was asymptomatic and I didn't really have any symptoms, doesn't mean that I could pass it on to somebody else and then they could have a really bad reaction to it. So we have to still stay on top of this, and then hopefully in the next few weeks, months, years, I don't know, it will all be over and we can forget all about this. But yeah, that was my experience of coronavirus anyway, so I thought I'd share it because I like to be fairly transparent with these videos with what's going on in my life. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the video, a bit of a shorter one today, but yeah, I still hope you'll leave it a like if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.